37 jumps, 34 berms, the world's most popular mountain bike trail, and the funnest downhill race on the planet? Very possibly. But this year, the Fox Air DH is all business. Contenders for the King of Crankworx title, like New Zealand's Sam Blenkinsop and France's Adrien Laurent, knows that when it comes to A-line, you jump for show, but you corner for dough. Can anyone possibly stop Jill Kintner? The Queen of Crankworx has won this event every year since 2013. Wait, hold on a second. Say what?
Well, mountain bike fans, take a look at that man right there. The reason we care is because he's on a heater of a season. A first in the Rotorua downhill, second in the Innsbruck DH. He backed it up with another second at the Montchéry DH in Léger. And why we care is because he's currently leading the points for King of Crankworx coming into this final stop.
Well, Sam Blenkinsop, he made his own way to Innsbruck that you see on camera there. He would go on to take a podium. Consistency is the name of the game for this man, and that's why he's leading our King of Crankworx standings.
It's a big day for this guy because the guy who's sitting in second place in the King of Crankworx rankings, Thomas Lemoyne, he's already had an opportunity to get some points this week. He got a first place in the dual speed and style, so now he's only 5 points behind Sam Blenkinsop. So it heats up right now because Sam Blenkinsop gets his first opportunity for some points. Well, first of all, we want to thank, on behalf of Crankworx Whistler, the Squamish and Lilwat nations for inviting us into their territory and allowing us to have this world-class event. Because if we weren't here, where would we be? This is the epicenter of mountain biking. Crankworx Whistler, stop number 4 of the Crankworx World Tour. I'm your host, Cam McCall, alongside an expert because he's won this race before, Andrew Needling. Andrew, how excited are you for Fox Air DH today?
Well, exactly. This is one of the most famous and popular trails on the mountain, but to race it is a whole different story. It really, really is. So I can't wait to see the racing and what these riders do and what strategy they put into play.
Cracking the code for racing A-line is easier said than done. It's a fun trail to ride, and when you ride it with your friends, you're never thinking race lines. You're thinking, all right, I'm going to transfer over here, I'm going to manual there, but only a few people have cracked that code and figured out how to win here. And we're going to find out if Sam Blenkinsop is going to be able to pull that off. He had a second place last year, but let's talk King of Crankworx standings right now. Take a look, Andrew.
Well, Sam Blenkinsop, he put his name in the hat in the Garbonza and he went on to take some points. So he's jumped ahead of Thomas Lemoyne again there, but we're going to see Thomas Lemoyne coming up in Pumptrack and, of course, slopestyle. So all eyes are on Sam Blenkinsop. It's not a track that he's known for doing that well on. He might be able to crack a podium and get a few points, but looking for him to take the win, I'm not really sure he'll be able to do that today.
Those who are new to Crankworx, if this is your first event watching all season, this is why we're talking about King and Queen. There's 4 stops, 30 events, and if you rack up points throughout those 4 stops, enter as many of those 30 events as you can, the person with the most points walks away with $20,000. $20,000 to the King, $20,000 to the Queen. But the competition doesn't just end with the athletes. There is an opportunity for the viewers to get involved in the action as well. Go to fantasy.crankworx.com. For every single event we have out here, all disciplines, we have a competition for you. You get a set budget. You have to decide who you want to put on your team, but don't go over budget. So of course you can put somebody like Brett Reeder on your team, but you're also going to have to get some wild cards, people who are a little bit cheaper, and hope for some of those wild cards to score well. Go to fantasy.crankworx.com and build your team. So choose your fantasy team wisely because this is not your ordinary downhill race. This takes place on one of the most famous trails in the universe, Whistler's A-Line.
It's not only famous, it's super popular with all the riders that come to Whistler. I mean, Whistler Bike Park, Cam, as you know, you've got like 3 lifts, 97 trails. They've opened up Creekside. What an amazing mecca for mountain biking.
Now, Andrew, I want to pick your brain on this because this trail, A-Line, it's a recreational trail. It's built for fun. It's not built for racing. I want to ask you, because you have won this race, what's it like racing this course?
It is a whole different beast, Cam. I'm glad you brought that up. These jumps are made for recreational speed. They're made for all types of skilled riders. But when you go down this track at race speed, it is a whole different beast. You've got to be able to pick which jumps to squash and which jumps to literally land flat.
So right now we're on board with Magnus Manson as he follows Finn Isles down the course to BC residents who are no stranger to this course, but you gotta know, when they ride this on their own time, they're taking different lines than what they'll be doing in the race. I have a feeling they're riding lines right now that they won't be riding in the race because they don't want to tip the hat and give away some secrets.
Well, exactly that. I think there's a few lines in here that they try to keep secret. You'll see Finn there. He's picking different sides of the jumps because some of the jumps gets worn lower, and if it's a lower lip, obviously you can stay lower, go forward and go faster. Here it gets a little bit tighter. It's a more like a downhill track. They've been watering this track, which is amazing. They've got a sprinkler system down the bottom half, but you've got to keep an eye on those wet rocks.
So they call it the Fox Air DH for air downhill, but the name of the game is to spend as much time as possible with those tires on the ground, putting that pedal down and accelerating. It's way easier said than done. It's impressive to be on board, but it's going to be even more impressive when they're in the middle of their race runs, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, and let's not forget how physically demanding this track is. It is almost 4 minutes. It could be really won and lost in who's fitter or not.
Well, there it is. The classic A-line. The jury's out. Who's going to be fast on this course? We have some historical champions who seem to repeat, but sometimes somebody pops out of nowhere and really surprises us. And this has kind of turned into a bit of a classic race. There's not really anything like it. The reason being, there's not really another trail anywhere else in the world that can hold a candle to A-line. It's a unique trail. A lot of different bike parks trying to create something that is similar to this, but it's the original bike park jump trail. So the Air DH, if you hear somebody talking about that, they're talking about this race right here. Top riders at the top of the course. We're going to get down to action here shortly. This is the Fox Air DH, and it starts right now.
It's not just a mountain bike festival now, like this is getting bigger and bigger.
The crowd is going wild out there.
Dude, it doesn't get much better than that.
It's one of the biggest things that has happened to the sport in the last 10 years, for sure.
What a huge run. We could have a new leader here.
The vibe here is what really makes the finale so special.
Oh, just barely too short.
Well, take a look at where we are lucky enough to hang out for these 11 days. Beautiful Whistler, British Columbia. The smoke in the sky is settling. We got a little bit of blue sky today. Of course, a lot of mountain biking, a lot of swimming in the lakes. But today, it's all about competition. And today, we're going to start out the Fox Air DH with the Pro Women's category. Now, the big question we have in the Pro Women's category is, does anybody have what it takes to take out Jill Kinner? She's won it the last 5 years in a row.
Well, that's going to be a big challenge because she's won 5 times in a row, as you say. No athlete has ever won 6 events in a row, but the pressure is building for her. Last year, she opted for a downhill bike. We've seen her down in the finish corral. She's got a downhill bike again, so she feels that's a winning formula.
That's true. We've been kind of cheating here, just getting a little taste of what we can expect. We're watching the athletes get on the lift. We saw Jill on a downhill bike. But fortunately for us, the third member of our team is even closer to these ladies. She's friends with all the athletes out here. I'm talking about Michaela Gatto. Michaela, what are you expecting from the women's category today?
Thanks so much, Cam. Yeah, you know I love to brag about my homies, but today I'd like to concentrate on 3 girls in particular. First up is Via Verbeek. So she's been a World Cup DH racer for quite some time, but she's decided to focus her efforts this year on the Crankworx World Tour. And personally, I think it's showing because she's currently sitting in 3rd in the World Tour standings, and she podiumed here last year at the Air DH, came 2nd in Rotorua, so I think she's definitely one to watch on the track today. Another one that I'd love to talk about is Miss Casey Brown. So we all know that she's won the last 13 of 14 whip-off events, so she knows how to hit a jump. But, you know, whips don't necessarily equal speed, so what I'm curious to see from Casey today is if she's going to be able to transfer those skills of popping high and whipping it out sideways into scrubbing off the lips and staying low to get to the finish line the fastest. And last but not least, Tracy Hanna. Now, Tracy is always a very strong contender in any downhill format race. Today, I think she's the only one, really, who could potentially take that top spot from Jill.
Thanks, Michaela. Good insight out there as to who we should be looking for. And she's mentioning Tracy Hanna. She got second the last 2 years. Last year, she was only 3.55 seconds back, which is a hefty margin, but realistically in downhill racing, that's washing out the front tire. Losing your momentum on a trail like A-Line could be the end.
Well, anything can happen in downhill, and it often will. Via Verbeek is also on hot form. She's coming back from an injury, as well as winning an ADH before down in Road to Ruhr, so she knows how to ride these types of tracks.
So the women's category really exciting today because we mentioned it a little bit earlier, 5 times in a row. That's how many times Jill Kintner has won this race. And it's unprecedented to win 6 in a row of anything. Brian Lopes won this race right here 5 years in a row until Andrew Needling knocked him off of that. Somebody had to do it. Who's going to do it today? Will anybody make it impossible to go 6 events in a row at a Crankworx discipline? Jill Kintner has the opportunity to be the first to win 6 in a row.
Well, Jill Kintner, she's been putting a lot of time on her downhill bike. She's obviously done World Cup downhill, so she felt more comfortable on her downhill bike carrying more speed. You'll see in the men's carry, it's almost the opposite, more of a trail bike enduro scene. But you know what? Whatever you feel more confident on squashing those jumps, if not flat landing them.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Jill Kintner hopping on the downhill bike because it has served her well for the last 5 years. Take a look at the Queen of Crankworx standings. Obviously, she's not got anything broken in all the disciplines she's been competing in this year, Andrew.
No, bit of a commanding lead, almost 2 races in hands if you think about the 150 points on hand for a win. But in 3rd place, Via Verbeek, she has a chance to dethrone her on the ADH today. So who knows what can happen there.
Well, that's why we're all here fixated on this screen. It's the Fox Air DH Pro Women coming up after the break. Don't go away.
We're trying to make a drivetrain that works better. We're trying to improve upon the things that we had done.
Introducing the all-new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. No matter what kind of rider you are or the kind of terrain you might ride, Eagle is simply the best. GX Eagle drivetrains have a range of gears that rival or flat out beat most 2x systems. Engineered in Germany, made for the world. This is GX Eagle.
Dose.ca, your entertainment fix. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Fox Air DH. We're about ready to get Pro Women underway, and there's a lot at stake right here, as we mentioned before. Jill Kintner has the opportunity to be the first person to win 6 in a row of any discipline out here at Crankworx. But at a Crankworx festival, it's not all about being serious and competing. It's all about having fun, too. Take a look at this run we had down the course in the preliminary ranks of the pro men field. Now, if you know who's inside that dinosaur, you know why we're happy that he's at least just wearing something. That's Mikey Hatterer, and usually he's riding a Speedo right now, a whole lot more clothed, but this has to be way harder than riding down A-Line in a Speedo.
Well, yes, unfortunately for us and the viewers have seen him in a Borat suit or a Speedo or an American costume, but I'm not American. I don't really celebrate Halloween, but this is more like a Halloween costume to me.
Yeah, we will take a Halloween-esque dinosaur over a mankini any day from Mikey Hatterer. But it just goes to show how much fun you can have out here at Whistler. There's Jordy Lund. This is usually the party train where everybody goes fast and does whips and scrubs and backflips. But when you let the dinosaur lead the train, it's not going to be as fast-paced as you'd hope. I'm just impressed he's keeping the train on the tracks, the dinosaur on the tracks.
Yeah, and not dragging half the dinosaur suit into the back wheel. So exactly that, Cam. Crankworx is all about having fun. It started as a fun festival and obviously got it a lot more serious, having 20 grand on the line for King and Queen of Crankworx. But there you see all the boys opting for the train, so that's really good to see. And just shows everyone, come out here, there's competition for everyone, from amateurs to professionals.
So a world first for Crankworx right here, the first ever dinosaur to complete a run. And maybe we'll learn from our mistakes next year. Have the dinosaur be the caboose of the train so we can see Jordy Lund, Louis Rabot, Ryan Howard pop those jumps. We got one nice little taste on the last jump there, a good whip. But take a look right now at our start list for the women's category in the Air DH.
Well, yes, we'll have the Garrick twins, which obviously we saw in the EWS. There's some EWS athletes. There's some former Downhill World Cup athletes. Manon Carpenter, it's great to see her back here. And then, not least, or not last but least, sorry guys, Tracy Hanna and then Jill Kettner. As we've been speaking, can she do the unthinkable and go 6 in a row?
Well, we're going to have to wait to find out. We have that long list of ladies until Jill Kettner drops in, so it's going to be exciting to see who's sitting on the hot seat by the time she drops in. We have anticipation for the race right now. We also have anticipation for all the events to come the rest of this week. Tomorrow, it's all about Pumptrack, one of the most fun events. Take a look.
This is it, the final stop in the quest for the Pumptrack World Championship. For the women, the battle for Pumptrack dominance had been following the same script this season. Queen of Crankworx Jill Kettner versus upstart Pumptrack rookie Kalani Hines. But round 3 at Crankworx Leger proved that anything can happen.
Oh, Mathilde Bernard crosses the finish line first.
And will happen. For the men, the quest for the title is an all-French affair. Pumptrack specialist Cheney Ganay versus slopestyler turned 2-time Pumptrack winner Thomas Lemoyne. Versus King of Crankworx Adrien Laurent. One of these racers is going to ride away with a world championship. Round 4 of the Crankworx Pumptrack World Tour is on. The RockShox Ultimate Pumptrack Challenge. Live on Crankworx.com.
So don't miss Pumptrack tomorrow. Check your local listings. We always do that one under the lights, a little bit of a later broadcast, but always a fun one. Starts out so mellow. But with all those points for Pumptrack World Championship on the line and King and Queen points on the line, toward the end of the night, it has a tendency to get pretty serious, doesn't it?
Well, it started many years ago, just as that fun evening event. Fans would come out with beers, support their riders. But now, with it being a series and a World Series, you have a title on the line there with lots of money and accolades, and there's people that are just focusing just on Pumptrack.
Here we go. Right now on screen, Harriet Burbage-Smith. Looks like she's back behind Christina Chapetta by about 11 seconds right now. But hey, finally, we got action underway here. We're watching pro women category coming down the hill.
Well, exactly. That is why we are here. We are seeing the Fox Air DH here in 2018 in Crankworx. So she'll slot into 3rd place, 11 seconds behind the pace. One of the most famous trails in the world. Most bike parks trying to emulate this awesome trail.
Next on course here, Jordan Scott. Let's see if she has something to answer the time from Christina Chapetta.
So we're picking them up here. This is the lower bit of the track, Cam, and as we know, it tightens up. It's more like a proper downhill track down here, whereas up top, we've got something like 37, but we guess it might even be more times for air, but maybe you're just finding other places to jump than I have.
That's because I don't know how to keep my bike on the ground. You've won this race. You know how to keep your tires on the dirt. So an update here. Leonie Picton is the current hot seat holder. Jonna Jonsson right now out of Denmark trying to answer that, but it looks like she's a bit behind. But that's actually a split, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. The guys we know are going to go around the 4-minute mark or under as far as I know. So that'll be a split for the ladies. Joanna Johnson coming into finish line over the last Buddha there. Waiting to pick her up, see where she'll slot into. And she'll be in 5th place, 18 seconds back. There's still a host of ladies coming up None other than Jill Kittner will drop last, so don't go anywhere on that one. Will she be able to six-peat? Is that even a word?
It will be if she does it. Right now, it's not a word in the context of Crankworx, but right now we're getting word this may be Annika Bierten, but she could definitely shake things up.
Yeah, she's been on the podium before, as high as second place. So Annika Bierten, no stranger to the Fox Air DH podium.
She's got 20 seconds to make it happen right now, and she's close enough to where it might be possible.
So Annika Bierten has switched teams onto the Alchemy. This is a new bike out of America. I haven't learned a lot about it just yet, but it's fascinating to see these new bike brands popping up.
Well, not going to happen. Not going to knock out Georgia Astle right now.
No, she's 2.78 back on the split. There's not a lot of track. Going quite deep on that jump, but there's just not enough track to make something like that up on the last little slope here. So Annika Bierten, one of the most all-round bike riders ever. Switching over to EWS, she's been in downhill. She does pump track, she does slalom, she does it all. She'll slot into third place, 3.42 seconds back. Still a host of top women still to come here.
Well, take a look at our current leaderboard right now for the women's category. Annika Bierten sliding into third place right now. A whole lot more ladies racing coming up right after this.
We're trying to make a drivetrain that works better. We're trying to improve upon the things that we had done.
Introducing the all-new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. No matter what kind of rider you are or the kind of terrain you might ride, Eagle is simply the best. GX Eagle drivetrains have a range of gears that rival or flat out beat most 2x systems. Engineered in Germany, made for the world. This is GX Eagle.
Kokanee, Glacier Fresh Beer. It's the beer out here. Well, taking a look on screen right there, top of the world. They have some new features up there, a big bridge, a big lookout. So if you're hanging out in the village, make sure you get a pass to the top of the mountain. Go be a tourist, see if you can get a whiskey jack to land on your head. There's more to do than just bike riding out here. But of course, we come here for the bike riding. And right now we're in the middle of the pro women's category for the Fox Air DH. We've got the top 10 women coming up pretty soon. We've been building anticipation for that. But right now, we still have a few more to come, and then a little bit of some pre-runners. We're going to have the winner from our boys 10 to 12 division and the girls 10 to 12 division. So that's a great thing about Crankworx, isn't it?
Yeah,
everybody
really
can sign up.
Exactly. We had the likes of famous Troy Brosnan, who's won Canadian Open a handful of times. He came out here as a junior and kind of made a name for himself before he was pro. So it's great to see these youngsters, so we're going to see them a bit. But also, let's not forget the top 10 women. We've got the Gerhard sisters. We've got Daniela Beercroft. Manon Carpenter is back in action after retiring last year from World Cup Racing. Tracy Hanna, and then obviously our current leader in the Queen of Crankworx, Jill Kittner, who's also won 5 times in a row.
So we've got Michaela Gatto standing by at the bottom with the current hot seat occupant from the pro women's category. Michaela, is she feeling comfortable having these top 10 women breathing down her neck, about ready to drop into this course?
All right, so Georgia, you won here yesterday on the Garbanzo. Gosh, it's hot out today. How does this course compare to that? They are so different. So what do you do differently to get onto the hot seat?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a completely different track, except I feel like it's almost just as physical. This time, instead of pedaling where you feel like it counts, I kind of reserve my energy and pump everywhere that I can to try and like conserve yourself and make it count still.
And do you think line choice-wise, is it harder to pick lines on something like A-line where it's smoother and faster, or Garbanzo where it's a lot more technical?
I find it harder in A-line because you actually, like every brake bump that you hit, it's a microsecond that you're missing. So it's pretty key to find your spot in the berms and not get held up by all the holes. It's kind of more challenging for me, I would say.
Perfect. Well, good luck out there. Hope you stay in the top spot.
Thanks, Michaela.
Thank you, Michaela. So Georgia has done her job today, and we always talk about this. Do the riders get more nervous when they're at the top of the course, about ready to do their job, ride, and hopefully not make any mistakes, or right now when she's feeling so good, but at the drop of a hat, any minute somebody could come down and crush her dreams?
Well, if I had my pick, I'd rather be at the bottom, relieved that you've got your run in, hopefully it was clean, and you're sitting in the hot seat, so you've done most of your job, but it's all out of your control at this stage.
And it doesn't matter if you're competing in the pro category or if you're one of our amateurs out here. A Crankworx win is so important and so exciting, something that you're going to hold on to forever, that little trophy. And Crankworx, one of the best things ever is we have categories for all the youngsters who are maybe just, you know, competing in their first race. And a really cool thing today is we're going to be able to see the winners from the men's 10 to 12 category and the women's 10 to 12 category, girls 10 to 12 category. And they get a chance to actually be on the broadcast. Like you said, doesn't seem like that long ago when Troy Brosnan was a little grom running around. Now he's one of the best in the world.
No, exactly that, and you have to call them boys. They're not men yet, and the same as the girls, they're not women yet. They're that young, and they even have kids works, which is even younger than that, where you're not even allowed to compete on the actual tracks here on A-Line. So I think that's amazing for Crankworx, and what an experience for these youngsters. Hopefully they're getting this tape recorded at home, and they can show it to their classmates, or who knows.
Yeah, that can totally be the thing that just catapults them and their enthusiasm level for this sport. Feeling like they're on the broadcast right now, getting a taste for what it would be like to be one of the pros out here. I remember my first time cruising to Whistler, I think I was 16, and just to be out of the country blew my mind. But to see the crowd and have them cheering for you, it's something that can give you that adrenaline rush that you can't really get any other way. So for these little 10 to 12-year-old youngsters we're going to have out here riding for the cameras to kick off the pro top 10 ladies, it's definitely going to be a rush.
No, that it isn't. I have a similar experience to you. When you got to see those pros that you looked up to, you saw either on the TV or the internet or magazines back when me and you were riding, there was no such thing almost as the internet. So I think that's great that they come out, they get to race themselves on tracks that the pros are doing. And then, of course, they get to watch the pros. So they get to compare, take notes, and hopefully that inspires them to greater things in the future.
And back in the day, you go, all right, Whistler, Crankworx, that's so much fun. Now we have to wait a whole year to go do it again. But now, with 4 stops all around the world, starting out in New Zealand, then of course our 2 European stops, Austria and France. Of course, we have to end every season right where it all began. Take a look right there. The famous finish line corral with the big 1-5 next to it. Can't believe this marks 15 years of Crankworx festivals.
It is unbelievable, and it's just going from strength to strength. As you say, with a world tour, 4 stops, who knows what the future might hold as well with that. Will there be more stops? Time will tell.
And time again, you see these little kids who turn into being these top pros. I remember meeting Stevie Smith out in the woods as a little dirt jump kid, and then hearing that he was really winning a lot of regional races at Whistler. Of course, he went on, became World Cup champion overall before, unfortunately, his passing a few years ago. We all remember Stevie. We love Stevie. And to commemorate his legend and to build some funds for those in a similar situation, there's the GoFundMe for Stevie Smith. Log on, learn about his story, and those that this fund can benefit. GoFundMe Stevie Smith Legacy Fund.
Yeah, he really learned to ride his bike, obviously on the shore, obviously on the islands, and here at Whistler. So it was amazing, and it's a really tragic event that we lost Stevie, but he'll never be forgotten, especially up here in Whistler.
Well, there we go. Here's our pre-runner right now. This is the little Grom who won the boys 10 to 12 category. And I don't know about you, Andrew, but it always blows my mind to see little kids and how skilled they are on a bike now, because this is a new development, having bikes that fit the kids. It used to be you rode a BMX bike until you grew tall enough to be able to straddle a mountain bike, but now they build custom rides for these kids, and that's what allows them to build their skills at such a young age.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, this is basically a victory lap for him because he's already put his time in. He's already won his age category. So amazing honor for him to come ride here on the broadcast. We're loving seeing him ride and even throwing some whips out for us. So he's never going to forget this day.
It's almost weird to see kids who fit into a 10 to 12 age category having so much style. This is Floyd Guy, winner of his category today, earning him the right to be a pre-runner for the top pros. Nice whip. Hopefully we'll see him out there on Crabapple tomorrow for the whip off.
Well, maybe we will if he's old enough. But man, great style from him. That is awesome to see a youngster like that getting down A-line, winning his category. Big ups to Floyd. Let's hope to see him back. And who knows, maybe one of the big names of the future like the late Stevie Smith.
How old were you when you started riding a mountain bike?
Well, I think, if memory serves me correctly, I know I did my first race when I was about 12 or 13, so even after this youngster, so he's probably got a bright future ahead of him.
Exactly. I think I got my first mountain bike when I was 13, and it was a clunky pile from Toys R Us. All that's left of it is the head tube. That thing is going to last him a while until he starts growing out of it, and it's just as good as the bike that I'm sure his dad has. It's just scaled down.
Yeah, I didn't even have suspension. I had V-brakes and fully rigid front fork. So these youngsters actually don't know how good they got it coming to Whistler when they're not even 12 years old. So it's awesome to see, and more power to him. Let's hope to see him here in the pro category.
The future is bright. Floyd Guy winning his category, kicking off the action out here today. We're going to see if we can get Michaela to grab a hold of him and get him on camera, really give him a taste of what it's like to be a pro out here, put him on the spot. Michaela, let's hear from Floyd Guy.
All right, first live broadcast. How do you feel?
Oh, it's awesome. Love A-Line.
How old were you when you started mountain biking?
About 6, 7. Started on my run bike doing these little jumps. Fell in love with it. It's awesome.
And are you hoping to race in the pro category one day?
Yeah.
Well, best of luck out there. You looked awesome.
Thanks.
Whipping it big.
Yeah, thanks, Michaela. Right on, Floyd Guy. We'll keep an eye on him in future Crankworx festivals. Might be the similar case of Troy Brosnan, Stevie Smith, where you just continue seeing them rise up the rankings. Pretty soon now, we're going to have the top 10 women dropping in. Does anybody have what it takes to stop Jill Kinner on her quest for a 6-peat? We were talking about earlier, is that even a word?
Yeah, well, we'll scroll down that list. Manon Carpenter, I can't wait to see what she can do, but I think I've seen her on flat pedals. I think she'll be taking more of a fun aspect to this race. But Via Verbeek, Casey Brown, Tracy Hanna, those are your 3 main danger women for Jill Kintner. But if I was a betting man, I'd unfortunately bet on Jill Kintner and not those other ladies.
Well, we got a definite cast of characters on the start list for the pro women out here. A lot of riders who you typically see in different disciplines than downhill. One pair that comes to mind is the Gehrig twins. They're on the start list for the downhill. They're typically on the EWS. How do you think their skills are going to translate to racing down A-line?
Well, you know they're going to have fitness on their side. And like we heard from the lady in the hot seat, you need fitness to get down this track. It's not just about jumping and pedaling. You know, you really got to know when to pump, when to pedal. And those EWS riders are going to be used to the bike that they're using. So it's a trail bike that's really going to play into their favor. And we know Carolyn, she's actually done quite well here in the past. So who knows, maybe she'll go one step further and get near the podium.
Well, how about this? This is a Crankworx festival, so that means we have back-to-back days of competitions. Something like the Stage 6 of the EWS, the Crankworx Whistler Enduro, that's 50 minutes of racing. Stage 5 is upwards of 20 minutes. Do you think they've had enough time to refresh to be able to just rip A-line right now at race speed?
Well, like you said, and then we had Garbanza yesterday. So some of the men that performed well in Garbanza, are they going to have the legs for today? It's only 1 day recovery. Normally that's not enough to really be on fine form. So in the men, someone like Marcelo, he got a flat. He might have fresh legs come today. And the women, those Gehrig twins, they did Garbanza. So how fresh are their legs going to be?
I think that's a big part of the story, especially when you talk about the king and queen of Crankworx hunt. these festivals, we're cramming a lot of events together in a small window. And to be able to find time to practice for all these events, when you see somebody with the king or queen title, that means not only are they really good at a bike, but they're really good at strategizing and time management, aren't they?
I think that's a great point that you brought up. You've really got to pick and choose your events that you know you can do well at, but also that are spaced correctly in the practice schedule. You don't want to be doing too much and then failing at a few events. You'd rather handpick a few. I think that's what Jill does. You know, she looks at the schedule, she looks when she can practice, and she works it on her strength.
So there, Annika Bearden reminiscing with the current hot seat occupant, Georgia Astle, as we get Anita Gehrig ready to drop in for her race run.
So we spoke about it. She did drop her name in the hat for Garbanza, getting an 8th there. She was 7th in EWS, so she's already had a huge week of racing here in Whistler. So will she have the legs to compete here in A-Line?
And when you hear the racers talking about racing A-Line, they're not so much talking about conserving energy. I mean, Georgia did kind of mention that a little bit, but largely the riders are talking about how you are literally sprinting or pumping or like manualing over lips. Those are things that even though they aren't pedaling, they take up so much juice from your body. Your muscles are just aching at the bottom of this run.
No, it's a big full body workout. It's like riding Pumptrack and wondering why you're so out of breath. It's the same thing. You're either going to be pedaling or you're going to be pumping. So it's all full body movements here, which obviously gets the heart pumping.
Looking forward to a split time here. Georgia Astle, the winning time of, or the current leading time of 4:09. Anita Gehrig will be outside of that by quite some margin.
But a lot of these athletes, you know, they're just picking as many events as they can. And she slots into 5th, so she'll be 6.94 seconds back. Still a solid run from her. An EWS athlete taking a 4th place at the last round in Latuile before coming here.
So you see Anita Gehrig cross the finish line in 5th place, quite a ways back behind Georgia. It begs the question, what did Georgia do to be able to find so much time? Luckily, we have footage of the run. Take a look.
So Georgia opting for a trail bike, which we will see most of the men and a lot of the ladies on this type of bike. This is a bike, Cam, as you know, will pump a lot better than a full downhill bike that Jill Kittner has opted for. But Jill Kittner's obviously got great fitness and power on her side. But Georgia, great run here, and this is going to be a time that probably will hold up late into the women's field.
So Georgia Astle dodging the bullet of Anita Gehrig, but she's going to have to dodge another bullet. Anita's sister, Carolyn Gehrig, who will be our next athlete to drop into Classic A-Line. There we go. That looks to be Carolyn Gehrig on track right now, entering the bottom, more technical part of the trail.
So we spoke to these twins before Garbanza. They've both had injuries this year. They're both really happy to be back and actually at the races together. They feed off each other. They practice together. That would really be a nice strategy to do here in A-Line, because a lot of the time there's a few different ways you can go over these jumps or different lines. Even though it's a simple track, there's only one route down and it's not that wide. Little inches of trail makes such a big difference, Cam.
Well, Carolyn Gehrig not going to threaten the time of our current leader, Georgia Astle, but hey, the battle within the war. We got to see if she can beat her sister, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let's see who's got bragging rights. Who's buying dinner tonight? Who will it be? We know Nita was in 5th place.
Oh, just outside.
Just by her sister Nita. So maybe the beers and the dinner will be on Carolyn today. But great riding from them. They obviously came out for the EWS, and that's the great thing about Whistler. Great thing about Crankworx. Everyone seems to stay around. They do events that they're not normally used to. So Georgia sitting pretty there in the hot seat.
So 2 riders in a row come down the hill. Georgia Astle still maintaining her spot in that hot seat right there. 2 riders in a row from the EWS. We're going to see who our next rider is right now to see if they can knock Georgia off that cozy chair. Doesn't matter, you could be sitting on a rock. The hot seat is the coziest chair in the house when it comes to racing. Well, there we go. Next rider out of Israel, another rider from the EWS, Noga Koram.
Well, exactly that. She took a 6th place yesterday in the Garbanza, previously a 5th in the EWS at round 2, so she's had a pretty hot season to date. We haven't seen much of her here. She has taken a 9th in ADH in Rotorua, so we have seen her in an ADH, but not much in Whistler. And she's 7.5 seconds back. So Georgia really had a storming run up top. These riders are failing to come close to her split times.
It's going to be interesting. We're just chipping away at this list right now as Georgia Assel dodges some bullets, but we're going to get into the heat of the order here shortly.
Yeah, there's 7 riders after Noga coming by. So Georgia will have a great result regardless of how she does with some of these riders. Noga Coram from the EWS background, a GT equipped rider.
So tell me a little bit about the enduro form of racing and how that differs for those viewers who are not familiar with enduro, how that differs from this today.
Well, here we go, Cam. We've obviously got one downhill race in and around 4 minutes long. What was that,
well,
Cam?
You were going to explain enduro, but that's not something you've seen enduro.
No.
Noga Coram did a suicide no-hander over the finish line jump. That's supposed to be Saturday for slopestyle.
Yeah, that's your skill set, so maybe you need to speak about slopestyle. But even I know what a no-hander is. That's great to see from the women's category. So she's having a great time out here. I haven't seen that in EWS yet. So back to your question, Cam. Let's speak about slopestyle first. Big suicide.
Well, if you come from the Enduro World Series, you're used to riding your bike for long periods of time. That means your hands are conditioned. You don't get what we call arm pump, because doing a suicide no-hander at the bottom of the race run would be the hardest time to do a no-hander.
Yeah, exactly that. So Daniela Beercraft, she had a 9th in ADH in Rotorua at the beginning of the season. She also had a 9th last year, so she has cracked the top 10 here. We often see her in the Pumptrack though, not always on A-line. She is your Australian, not your national downhill champ, but she has taken a win at the national series, she has.
Well, Beecroft opting for the downhill bike. It's the first downhill bike we've seen, I believe.
That it is. We'll look for Jill Kittner late in the broadcast to be also on a downhill.
Oh, she's close.
She's in touch, 1.03 seconds. And she's into the downhill section of this track. So can she take advantage of her bike choice here? This is where she should let it all hang out on that bike.
That's a good point. There's not too many parts of this trail where the downhill bike would have an obvious advantage, but she just finished a section where that would be the case. She's only 1 second back. This could be close.
Yeah, let's see if she can pick it up down to the bottom. She went through the downhill section after that split. Then there is a little bit more pedaling and pumping, but she has lost time, 2.77 seconds. The trail crew has almost smoothed out the section. They've placed some rocks. There's obviously a sprinkler system in there. So maybe it's not such an advantage to have a downhill bike.
So close, but Danielle Beecroft will go outside the time of Georgia Astle by 3.24, going into 3rd place. Well, that was a close call for Georgia Astle, a near miss right now. Not looking as secure in that hot seat as she did before. We're getting into the heat of the order.
Her time is looking very strong. She's picking off some big names, the likes of Beercraft, Beerton, Manon Carpenter. I have a feeling that she's kind of out here more for fun. She retired from downhill World Cup racing last year. I mean, she's got an amazing pedigree here at Crankworx and obviously on the world stage. So it's nice to see her out here. I haven't had the chance to catch up with her and see what her strategy is. But when I saw her ride past, it seems like she was on flat pedals, Cams. That to me shows you she's out here. She's in Whistler Bike Park. She's having fun. And I don't think that's something that will win this race is flat pedals on the women's category.
Well, she is a racer. Yeah, she may have retired, but that's one of the best things about Crankworx is sometimes, because it is so fun, it brings people out of retirement, people who you wouldn't typically see racing in 2018 decide they'll come to Crankworx and give it a whirl.
Yeah, great point. And often, like you say, maybe I should contradict myself, is sometimes you just ride more relaxed. You're here for fun, you pop on the flat pedals. It will be tough for her on a track, but there we go. I'm happy to get proven wrong. She's 0.93 back. That shows you her pedigree. Former World Cup winner and podium rider Manon Carpenter, out of retirement here at Crankworx and putting on a storming run till now. She's only 0.93 back, Cam.
Well, here we go. This is the
losing
section
a
right
little
here
bit
where
more time, unfortunately.
we saw Beecroft lose time in the same spot, also on a downhill bike. She'd have to really pull a magic trick right now.
So back in 2016, she was 4th place in this event. Man, the times are close here at the top. Slots into 3rd place, Cam, 2.39 seconds back. So that's great ride from her out of retirement here at Crankworx, the ADH.
Safe to say things are heating up right now. The gaps are moving from 11-second, 8-second gaps down into the 3-second range. And Georgia Astle still holding them off.
Really strong time from her. I look to even maybe sneak a podium with that time.
Well,
Still got some strong riders.
Look how close Leonie Picton and Manon Carpenter were. I mean, that's 0.2 of a second right now. So this is where we're going to get into the heat of our order and have some really tight racing. Well, the top riders still to come. Those top riders duking it out for valuable Queen of Crankworx points. Take a look right now. Jill Kintner is still leading the charge, but the next rider we'll see in this race is hanging out in second place in the Queen title. So Andrew, the next rider we see drop in will be the rider who is one step beneath Jill Kintner in that Queen of Crankworx title hunt, Casey Brown, a rider who is so well-rounded. She can pull a great result in a multitude of different disciplines. Do you think she has what it takes on A-line to get some points today?
Well, it's a rider that needs no introduction, from whip-offs to now EWS. So we know she can jump. We know she can ride down if she feels like it. It's more like, what does she feel like doing? How motivated is she? Because she takes on so many different disciplines. So I do feel that she can do something if she's motivated for it.
Well, one thing I've noticed about her also is she's really good under pressure. I've seen her in some free ride environments where most people would turn around, look the other way, and exit that situation. But she has a real ability to be strong inside that helmet. So knowing that she's the only person close enough to really threaten Jill Kintner right now for the Queen title hunt, it's going to be exciting to see if she can stay low on the jumps to pull out a good time, because we know her from her high-flying antics in the whip-offs.
Well, 13 out of 40, I mean, that's an amazing feat. She's an all-round rider. She's podiumed on the EWS this year, which was great for her. She's coming off a 4th in Garbanzo. So will she have the legs to take on this ADH race here today?
Well, lucky for us, we're going to be able to watch her run. She's one of the most stylish ladies on a bike, and we're going to be able to savor that right now.
So we start at the top of this track. These jumps, you want to keep them as low as you can. So she's opted for the enduro bike here. So that'll be a contrast to Jill Kintner. Can she make it work for herself? So Casey Brown, Canadian. And she's 1.37 up, Cam.
Casey Brown.
Talking has really helped her. She's been listening. She is motivated here, Cam. Going through the downhill section, the tights through the trees.
Well, the first green split time we've seen all broadcast coming from Casey Brown right now, trying to knock Georgia Astle off of that hot seat.
So she's riding on fine form here. Like we said, podiums in EWS, 4th place on Garbanzo. Maybe she's motivated to make it one better or even better than that. So we're looking for the next split time. Has she maintained that 1.37? The time is ticking by. We haven't got the split.
Oh, wow,
we haven't
something
got the
happened.
split, but I think she's within touch here. It hasn't shown up. Casey Brown coming into the finish. There's one more jump to navigate. Oh my goodness,
long.
And as I say that, Cam, she goes long.
It's going to be close.
Looks like she will
the
slot
clock
into
is ticking.
first.
First place by 0.89. You're right, she did lose some time, but not enough to go into second place. She goes into first place. Wow, holding on to it right now on that trail by Casey Brown with only 3 women left to go, sitting in the lead.
Wow, 4:27. What a time. That'll be the time to beat for the last 3 riders up the hill. So opting for a trail bike. You can see she's carrying really good pace. She's overshooting a lot of these jumps, Cam, down the bottom here.
I was on pins and needles right here reading that split time, thinking she had lost some, but she had a huge whip going deep on that finish line. It looks like she conserved her energy efficiently. Well, next in the gate out of Canada, Via Verbeek, the woman who's had 3rd place here the last 2 years in this Fox Air DH.
Exactly, and she took 2nd in Rotor Air DH in 2018, the beginning of our world tour. And that is a track that is very similar. It's a track that mimics this Air DH, but down in New Zealand.
Well, we're getting into that meat of the order right now where we see some scrubs from these girls. Oh, wow.
Big split time there. She is 3.5 seconds up, Cam. That is a mammoth amount of time on a track like this, and most of the track is done, so she needs to just keep it together. She's safely through the downhill section. Also opting for the trail bike. That will carry good speed down the bottom. Like we've seen, some of these downhill bikes have lost speed down the bottom yet.
Well, Via Verbeek looking to better the time of Casey Brown right now.
She has won an Air DH down in Road Tour, also back in 2017. Can she do that here in Whistler and win this iconic downhill race? She's coming into Finland, and she's going to smash the time of Casey Brown.
Via Verbeek goes into the lead by 3.38 seconds. We have a new occupant of that hot seat. Casey Brown's time was short-lived, and now 2 riders left to go.
Yeah, we picked her as one that could maybe take down Jill Kidney here. Via, motivated clearly, back from a bit of injury. Oh, and I like that line. She's opted to transfer a bit to the right, Cam. You get a little bit more downslope and not go as flat.
Well, our start order out here is based off of the results from last year. So Via Verbeek was 3rd place last year. She's sitting in the lead with 2 riders left to go, 2 riders that beat her just a year ago. The next one we'll see in the start gate. Oh, Jill Kinder's going to be in the start gate next, even though she won last year.
Okay,
I'm not sure what happened to Tracy Hanna, but Jill Kinder trying to make it 6.
So this is what we've all been waiting for. Can the first athlete in Crankworx history go 6 in a row in an event? If anyone can do it, it would be this lady here, Jill Kinder. She thrives under pressure, Cam.
Jill Kinder following up the last 2 riders we've seen on trail bikes who have gone into the hot seat. Green at this split.
What will the split say, Cam? It looks to be back from what I can see, but we haven't been given the split. Jill Kinder. Oh, she is up, but not by much, 0.34.
That is not a large margin. You got to think this flat section down here where those girls were really able to accelerate on the pedals on those trail bikes. Will Jill be able to carry the speed on the full downhill rig?
That will be a challenge for you, Cam. But Jill Kinder, your current Queen of Crankworx points leader, your reigning Queen of Crank, she's maintained it, but not by much, 0.19. This is going to be so close, Cam. She needs to really get moving, but this is hopefully where that downhill bike will be up to speed and carry that speed all the way to the finish.
It's going to be close, Andrew. Take her through the finish line.
Jill Kinder is looking to do the 6-speed. Has she done? She has done it. That is 6 in a row, Cam. The unthinkable, but only by 0.4 seconds. Jill Kinder, the Queen of Crankworx, stomps her authority on this event once again.
Wow, they really made her work for it this year. Last year, she won by 3.55, but this year, it's only 0.4 of a second. How does she do it 6 years in a row?
I have no idea. I'm absolutely breathless. That was an amazing, amazing run by her. But like you say, they really keep me honest. Only 0.4 seconds in it there. You could see she did all the hard work at the top and just somehow maintained it to the finish.
But she was losing a little bit on that flat section and somehow was able to gain some more, even though she was on the downhill bike.
Yeah, what a great ride by Via Verbeek, though. I really thought that time would maybe hold up. But Jill Kinder just thrives under pressure. I mean, that's the unthinkable. 6 times in a row. No one has ever done that in Crankworx.
Well, that means we've never interviewed somebody who's won 6 times in a row at Crankworx. So why don't we send it down to Michaela Gatto, who's standing by with Jill Kinder.
All right, so this is the first time anyone has won 6 competitions in a row. How do you feel?
I feel good. That was a close one, man. I thought I had a pretty big mistake and I thought it was going to cost me, but yeah, it's a good race. That track's hard to sprint full speed over those jumps, you know?
Yeah, and speaking about the physical stuff about the track, you're on a downhill bike. We always see you mostly on trail bikes, Pumptrack bikes. Why did you pick the downhill bike today?
I mean, I probably raced downhill bikes more than trail bikes, but I mean, I rode both bikes. I felt super sketchy on the trail bike. It rolled fast, but my corner speed was just so much greater on this bike, and I don't know, it just felt good.
And we're halfway through the week. How do you stay recovery-wise? What are you going to do after this to stay fresh for Pumptrack tomorrow?
I might hit that Lululemon recovery zone. That was sweet over there. I don't know, just rest, eat, repeat.
Rest, eat, repeat. Well, best of luck and congratulations today.
Woo, thank you, that felt good.
Thanks, Michaela. Big congratulations to Jill Kintner, doing the unthinkable, winning 6 years in a row at the Fox Air DH. And you know what? She's going to be competing, like they said, in Pumptrack again tomorrow night. What a versatile skill set, winning on the downhill bike and then hopping on that hardtail tomorrow, and she'll be a favorite there as well.
Well, exactly that. I think this experience shone through there. Jill Kintner taking the win, but only barely over Via Bergweg. Really impressive ride by her. And Casey Brown in third place. And let's not leave Georgia Astle out. Also a nice ride out of her in fourth.
Well, that was the women. Jill Kintner making it happen again. We have the pro men coming up after the break. Fox Air DH, don't go away.
We're trying to make a drivetrain that works better. We're trying to improve upon the things that we had done.
Introducing the all-new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. No matter what kind of rider you are or the kind of terrain you might ride, Eagle is simply the best. GX Eagle drivetrains have a range of gears that rival or flat out beat most 2x systems. Engineered in Germany, made for the world. This is GX Eagle.
SRAM, the power of bicycles. Well, there you had it, Andrew. The pro category for the women in the Fox Air DH did not disappoint. We built it up a lot, and luckily, Jill Kintner came through in the clutch, didn't she?
That we did. We really put the pressure all on her shoulders. It was all for her to lose. But Jill Kintner, thriving under pressure, taking that win in 4 minutes, 23.52 seconds, but so close in second. Via Verbeek, 0.4 back. Casey Brown in third, Georgia Astle in fourth, Leona Picton, Manon Carper, Daniel Brekov, and then Annika Beerten in eighth.
Well, things would be looking pretty good for Casey Brown getting a podium, sitting second place in the Queen standings, but unfortunately, as you can see on this list, we're about ready to get on the screen, the Queen of Crankworx standings, Jill Kintner, the one who's sitting above her, also got some points. So 2 steps forward and 1 step back for Casey Brown.
Well, exactly that. Great race from her. Via Verbeek also got some points, but unfortunately for all these ladies, Jill Kintner won the race and is really furthering her lead here.
And it would be looking pretty good for Casey and Via also if tomorrow's event weren't Pumptrack, the event that we consider Jill Kintner's main event, coming from that Olympic BMX background. She's been pretty dominant, but she's definitely had some competition this year, so it's anybody's game tomorrow night for the Pumptrack. Well, a whole lot of enthusiasm in the middle of Whistler Village this year. 2018, the 15th year of the Crankworx festivals. More people than ever taking part in the festivities, both on and off the bike. And of course, it's all about riding your bike while you're here, but with world-class competitions, everybody loves it. You gotta be a fan, get alongside the course. but it's not so cut and dry. There are some guidelines to be an efficient fan. Take a look at what those guidelines are.
After 15 years of extensive worldwide testing, the following are scientifically recognized methods of showing support for your favorite rider. Air horn, vuvuzela, novelty homemade signage, Instagram hashtag, cowbell, thunder stick, screaming. However, studies have shown that fan nakedness has a detrimental effect on athlete performance. And that's why you need this. But you can't get it here. It's only available on site at the best mountain bike destinations on planet Earth.
So if you're cruising around the village, get your hand on some of that Fox merch. But if you're looking at a screen right now, whether you're at home or here in the village, this is something you don't see every day. Stacy Kohut riding down A-line, four-wheel bike adapted to fit his situation. This guy is so skilled. I mean, year after year, nobody's been able to touch him racing this track on that type of machine.
No, one of Whistler's favorite men to have out here. And what's so impressive, he is clearing most, if not all, these jumps on that forward machine. Shows you the dedication and motivation of him and the skill set, really, Cam.
Clearing the jumps with style, too. You saw him at the beginning of his run doing a bit of a tabletop off of one of those jumps. Definitely dedicated to using gravity to his advantage.
Yeah, great ambassador for Crankworx and Whistler. He's been out here from the beginning, I would say. Oh! Yeah, throwing that style.
That camera was sitting in the absolute perfect position
to catch that whip from Stacey. That's really impressive. So we love having all sorts of riders, categories. Like we said, we had the junior boys, 10 to 12. The winner, he did a bit of a rundown here today. We've got Casey, Stacy throwing us out. Yeah, Casey Brown with her whips. We saw a backflip on the finish line before we came on air. So that is Stacy Kohut. That is great ride from him.
Well, Stacy Kohut, the most style you could possibly ever ask for on four wheels. But when we're talking about style on two wheels, somebody we often mention is Bas van Steenbergen. Whether he's on a bike or off, he knows how to have a good time in Whistler. Take a look at how he spent some of his downtime here during the Crankworx Festival in Whistler.
We're just checking out the suspension bridge up here at the top of the world. Never really been up there, so it was cool to check it all out and sway the bridge side to side a little bit. I mean, it was cool in a way that it was cloudy because it just looked like you were walking into nowhere. I'm not sure if there's a lot of other places where you can go up a hill that high by a chairlift and not have to like hike way up there, so it's cool that it's totally accessible. Yeah, I think my favorite thing about Whistler is just getting here and you just go ride with all your friends, and yeah, it's just always a good time. Like, you're never really riding by yourself.
Hey Bas, less talky, more ridey.
My favorite trail in the bike park, well, I would say A-line, but that's kind of a lame answer, so probably go with D1. The trail's pretty unreal. It's like technical, but jumpy, and pretty much everything I like about bike riding. 2 years ago, I won this event, and that was quite a special moment for me. That was like probably the biggest win of my career so far.
4:04.02 into the top spot for Bas.
Going into it a little more relaxed than last year. Like, if I wouldn't win, I don't think I'd be devastated, but obviously the goal would be to win.
Yes, Bas van Steenbergen having a blast out there on the hill. Looking to back up that 2016 win. He had a 7th place last year, so I'm sure he's looking to better that. But what more could you ask for when it comes to style on a bicycle than that guy?
No, stylish and quick to boot. I know he's been working with his team manager, EC. They've been looking at lines. I'll speak later about his bike setup, but we're going to see great riders like Mitch Ropolato's here, Thomas Slavik, Bas van Steenbergen. But before them, Jackson Frew, youngster Bernardo Cruz, the top of our list there. Man known better for whips, but let's see what he can do down this trail as well.
Speaking of whips, I mean, we're in for a treat because this trail isn't designed to be raced, and if you're going to ride it at race speed, there's no other option than for that riding to become aesthetically pleasing. Expect to see a lot of scrubs, a lot of whips, and a lot of pedal landings, don't you think?
Yeah, we've got likes of Mick Hanna, Sam Bleckensop, Marcelo Gutierrez, and last year's winner Adrian Laurent with a bit of a surprise for us.
That was a surprise, and I think that win was inspired by this King of Crankworx hunt. He was gathering points from dual speed and style and Pumptrack and figured, hey, maybe this air downhill thing is right up my alley. I was expecting him to maybe get some points. I did not expect him to win. So that, I guess, is one thing we could learn from this event, is expect the unexpected. Well, starting out right now, the first pro men we're going to see is Jackson Frew.
Jackson Frew coming off a second in the US Open, so finding some form here. It's only his second year elite. 10th in Rotorua DH. So youngster still finding his feet in racing here. He did play second when he was still a junior here in Air DH about 2 years back. So a little bit sitting down there, maybe having a little breather coming to the downhill section. We haven't picked up a split just yet. So Jackson Frew, second place in elite here. Or second year, shall I say, in elite.
Well, right now, the current leader is Lee Jackson. Now looking to put another Jackson in that hot seat. If all goes well for Frew right here, that'll be the case.
So making his way down here, there's one jump to go. What will the time say? He's going to fall outside of that leading time of Lee. 4.96 back. That slots him into sixth place. We still have a host of riders still to come.
So Lee Jackson maintains his position there in that hot seat, dodging a bullet in the form of Jackson Frew. But it's going to get heavier and heavier as we go. Just the same as we saw with the pro women's category. We've got our top riders dropping last. And that's based upon their finishes from last year's event.
So many times I'm like, okay, I'm going to no break it.
So Lee Jackson, this is that moment where he realizes he can't get too comfortable.
No, that'll be nerve-wracking. He's got 20-odd riders still to come. He is sitting in the hot seat, but nothing more he can do here.
So next rider in the gate, trying to threaten that time from Lee Jackson, is Kirk McDowell. Let's see what he has.
Yeah, local favorite out of Canada. Placed sixth place yesterday in the Garbo DH. How will his legs be feeling today? So he's opted for that same setup. He'll be on his downhill bike here in the bike park of Whistler on the iconic A-line downhill.
He's looking fresh at the top. Let's see if he's able to sprint that hard as we pick him up here at the bottom of the course. Just ping-ponging through those woods. I always think you got to focus on anything but those trees when you enter that section, right?
Yeah, exactly that. It's something you want to do, but the minute you get in there, it just seems like it's like a magnet. It takes your eyes towards trees there. It's an amazing section, amazing piece of trail.
See tree, hit tree, so don't look at tree.
No. So he took a fourth at Innsbruck downhill, so he has had some good results at Crankworx events this year already.
Right now, he's sitting at 3:10. He's going to have to get through the finish line.
Going so deep, I would not keep an eye on that time. No, there's no ways he's just blown 7 seconds out of our current hot seat
Something
leader.
tells me we're going to have to, somebody forgot to carry the one or something like that.
Or maybe 30. But anyway, we will update you when that gets corrected, but definitely not 47 seconds up, because then that literally will be a gold medal and we can stop commentating.
We'll just give him King of Crankworx right now.
All right, so he's made his way, entering nice and early there in the downhill section. So great technique there, nice and early for the turns. So I would like to say it's safe to say that this race should be won on an enduro or trail bike. I remember back in the day, Lopes was one of the only riders on an enduro trail bike, and he kept smoking us year after year. And finally, someone decided to bring a trail bike of themselves, and it seemed to really help. So you can just carry really good speed, pumping, pedaling, and all those sort of things, Cam.
So Loeb's kind of paving the way for how this race is won. And still, though, you see people competing on downhill bikes. You saw Joe Kenner take the win on her downhill bike. And another downhill bike in the gate right now, the YouTube sensation, Fabio Widmer.
Yeah, I like your accent there, Cam. You'll have to teach me that one.
Yeah, I'm trying.
So Fabio.
And if you like his riding, make sure to, I don't know, what do? You hit the little thumbs up thing, you subscribe, or you comment or something? Who knows?
I have no idea. Me and you showing our age here, I think.
Who knows?
So Fabio known more for his crazy videos and antics on a bike than his speed. But he does come from a racing background. We saw him in Innsbruck, so he steps into the race every now and then. He's no slouch. He's still got some speed.
That's the thing. This guy, when we saw him racing in Innsbruck, we were surprised by how fast he is because, I mean, he rides for the camera. And he has a huge following doing that, so we weren't expecting him to even scratch. Okay, well, he's got his hand in the air. But he did well in Innsbruck, better than we thought. So we're looking for a split to pick up and see how Fabio Widmer is doing right now. Out of Austria, the pride of Innsbruck.
Yeah, the time is ticking by, so he will not challenge the time in the hot seat. But that's not to say he's not been entertaining the crowd the whole way down, and there's the flip from Fabio Widmer. So he will not go into the hot seat, but giving us a bit of excitement coming into the finish line.
You gotta love the flip. The crowd loves the flip. So Fabio Widmer doing it for the crowd, having fun out here at the Fox Air DH. And I gotta admit, it's cool to see. You know, that's what the spirit of Crankworx is all about. Even though this is our pro category right here where everybody's gunning for the lead, we can't be bummed to have a little entertainment, can we? Backflip in the finish line, gotta love it.
Absolutely not. A little preview before slopestyle, but should be later in the week on Saturday.
Well, speaking of guys who know how to do tricks, I wouldn't expect him to do it right here because he actually has a chance to do well in this race. This is Mitch Ropalato.
Yeah, Crankworx favorite, had 1 million podiums, won Pumptrack events, dual speed and styles, you name it. Switched over to full-time EWS, so sad for Crankworx, but it's great to see him back here, and I did speak to him early in the year. He's having fun at EWS, but he feels with that fitness, he might actually have a shot at this. So he's feeling confident. Here in A-line, he knows he can pedal for 4 minutes if he can pedal for 50.
This guy can do absolutely anything, and he got 8th place here at the Fox Air DH just last year. If you remember last season, you saw him doing front flips and dual speed and style. It doesn't matter what discipline, this guy always has a chance of doing well.
Well, exactly that. It's just, what does he decide to put his mind to? And if it's Air DH today, you could really see him come with a hot time. So we do not have the exact splits, but we'll start seeing this if he can make his way to the finish in time here.
Well, he looks strong at the bottom. The whole EWS season is paying off.
He does look really, really strong. Side flight.
Oh, come on.
Spinning to the finish. He needs a 4:03.94, and he's not going to do it. Slots
so
into
close.
second place.
Mitch Ropalato.
0.56 back.
Oh, wow, that was close.
So he'll be a bit disappointed. He really did sound confident when I spoke to him beginning of the week about A-line here.
Take a look, though. This is the bottom. This is when you typically see a little fatigue out of the riders, or if it's Fabio Widmer, that's where he's going to take his hand off and wave at the crowd. But Mitch looks strong. He was sprinting even though he'd already been riding for 4 minutes.
Yeah, a little mistake in bobble. He kind of hit that inside bump there, sapped a bit of his momentum, but good ride for him. And like you said, just a man that can do anything on a bike if he sets his mind to it.
Mitch Ropalato sliding into second place by just about a half second and moving things right along. It sounds like we're going to have Thomas Slavic next in the gate.
Oh, one of my favorites. Obviously a former World Cup and World Champion in Crankworx. So this could be a track that suits him. He hasn't quite done as good as I would expect him to do in the Air DH and Whistler. However, in Rotorua, he has 2 podiums. 3rd at the beginning of this year in Air DH and Rotorua, 2nd place the year before that in Rotorua. Something about this track hasn't gelled for him yet.
Well, Thomas Slavic, a former king of Crankworx, so he's put together all the tiny, difficult pieces of that puzzle in the past. And I'm sure he did just well enough in Air DH that year to get some points.
Well, exactly that. You need to slot into a top 10 to gain points. Start with 150 at the top, goes down to 100, down again 75 until you get down to 10th place, gives you about 10 points. You've got to be in the top 10 to gain points. But Tomek Slavic Time is ticking away for him. He's got to beat a 4:03 and change here. Thomas Slavik, your former world champion in 4-cross.
Stays low, lands high on that final jump, crossing the finish line, back by 1.26, but still good enough for 3rd place thus far.
The time is really respectable from our hot seat rider, taking down the likes of Mitra Palado, Thomas Slavik, and a host of other riders before them.
Those are some big names right there, and Lee Jackson fending them off with a stick. Let's take a look back at this run here from Thomas Slavik.
So as you see, he's opted for a longer travel enduro bike. Squashing those jumps nicely. Nothing looked out of place on this run. Lee has just put down a storm of a run so far. Into the downhill section, as Cam said, those trees, they just seem to jump out in front of you and get so close to your handlebars.
Oh, take a look who we have in the start gate right now. Bas van Steenbergen, the winner from 2016.
Yeah, Bas van Steenbergen. I spoke to his team manager, EC, that's helped develop this bike, the Hyper. Bas, a former winner here. He's opted for a 160mm trail bike, but they said they lengthened the front fork. He just wanted a little bit more stability at speed and a little bit more travel so that it would help with the geometry.
Well, we don't see a split right now, but that number looks low.
This looks fast, folks. So Bas van Steenbergen is feeling confident. I think he's quietly confident after winning in 2016 and not having a great race in 2017 because the expectations were on him. Maybe coming to this race with a little bit less pressure and no one really looking at him to take another win because they might think it's a fluke. So they were practicing some lines with EC. Cam, sorry about that, butting in there. So this is looking good.
He looks smooth and fast and fit right now. We did not get a split, but I gotta think it's gonna be close, isn't it, Andrew?
Yeah, it is. So those lines are clearly paying off. He's gonna take the hot seat here by 3.32 seconds. That's Bas van Steenbergen into your #1 spot. Great run from him. Clearly, definitely feeling confident, and it paid off. Bike setup, really good as well. They opted for full knobblies front and rear. A lot of riders are gonna ride semi-slicks. They decided they needed a little bit more traction in the dirt.
Amazing how flashy he can be in a race run, but yet still be fast. I mean,
wow, holding so low. He's really opting to scrub and stay as low as he can on these jumps and not over jump them.
Yeah, this guy's bike handling skills are on another level, and you can be that aesthetic on the bike, but also smash the time of Lee Jackson by 3.32. You're doing something right.
So great ride by Bas van Steenbergen. The team put some work in. They decided to change a little bit on the setup of the bike. Like I said, I was speaking to EC this morning. They did some runs. EC said even at 80% pace, he couldn't even keep up, so he felt Bas was going to be riding strong here.
Well, Kieran McKinnon dropping in, looking to see if he can answer that blistering time from Bas van Steenbergen.
So Kieran McKinnon, 5th place in Air DH in 2017. So super quick on this track. Caught him in the lift line. He's opted for 29-inch wheels. Now, it's been a bit of both that I've seen in the lift line. Some guys have actually gone back to 27.5. They feel like they can squash and stay lower on the smaller wheel. So McKinnon, 3.82 back. That's not too shabby though, because we must remember that Bas smashed the hot seat time by over 3 seconds as well. So this is in and around the 2nd to 3rd place time at the minute.
There we go, losing a little bit more time right there, back by 4.2, just going to show how fast that time was from Bas van Steenbergen. Let's see if Kieran McKinnon will slide into 2nd place.
Yeah, is it going to be enough? He needs to get around the 4:03 mark. No, he's going to just be outside that. Into 4th position for Kieran McKinnon, 4.42 back. So it will not be his year. I think he will not be able to do as good as he has formerly in the past. Sitting in 4th place, and man, do we have a stack field coming your way.
Well, Bas van Steenbergen will at least get to enjoy a little bit more time in that hot seat. Let's send it down to Michaela Gatto, who's standing by with Bas.
All right, something tells me this isn't sweat, I hope.
Yeah, I just have to cool down a little bit. It's so hard to do this race. You just full out the whole way down, and it's dry and dusty. It's not easy.
Well, you ride this track all the time. Can you give us any little secret, little tidbit on going fast down A-line?
I don't know if there's much of a secret. It's more just like pedal hard. You gotta hit all your lines good, scrub the jumps hard, and I don't know, just suffer a little bit.
Thanks so much. Back to you, Cam.
Thanks, Michaela. From a well-rounded rider who can pull out great results in a lot of different disciplines to another one we could say the same thing about. This is Keegan Wright, Andrew.
Yeah, full-time EWS, but like you said, we've seen him in Pumptrack. We can see that he knows how to pedal. This is a former Pumptrack winner, on a Crankworx favorite, but man, 4.89. It's going to be a tall order to take down Bass from what I can feel. Hopefully the tail end of this race and someone can pick him apart there. So Keegan Wright, he's on his enduro bike, so he'll be comfy on this bike. I think something like being good on a Pumptrack, your fitness from EWS definitely will help you here. So he's maintaining that gap. He's actually pulled a little bit back on Bass, who was really fast in that section. So he's 4.43 back versus the 4.89 that we saw at the first split.
Well, Keegan Wright, we'll definitely see him back tomorrow for the Pumptrack. He's been known to take the win in that discipline, but right now, back by 4.53, sliding into 5th position.
Yeah, what I like about Bass, he seems to be very humble about how skilled he is and how good that run was. He's really put a bit of gap into these riders already. Definitely quietly confident coming into this event. Former winner. Seems like he got his bike set up absolutely correct as well.
Well, take a look right now, Andrew. Bass definitely with a comfortable lead over Lee Jackson, but it's just going to get faster and faster as we go.
Yeah, you'd like to think it could possibly go into that 4-minute mark. So he's sitting there at 4 minutes 62. Lee Jackson with a great ride ahead of the likes of Mitch Rapalona, Kieran McKinnon, and Keegan Wright. Thomas Slavic also on that leaderboard.
So you always say that you have the fastest rider coming down last. And in this case, Adrian Larone, he'll be the last pro men to drop here today because he won the event last year. But don't forget, just a year before that, Bas van Steenbergen was the one who won the race. So we may see him sitting there for quite some time, unless Jur Zabjak has something to say about it. He's dropping in right now, all the way from Slovenia, I believe.
Yeah, as far as we know, I don't know a lot about him, but he has taken second in some IXS Cups at round 5, 2 IXS wins in the European circuit in 2017. So no slouch on a downhill course, but this is no downhill course. This is one of the most unique races in the world. So 6.72 seconds back on that downhill bike. We haven't seen him at the Crankworx events before. Riding for Unia Da Vinci, equipped on that 29-inch wheel. More of a downhill specialist than something like A-Line, that Bas van Steenbergen has obviously shown what you can do on this track on a more unique trail bike.
Well, more and more we're realizing how fast that time was from Bas van Steenbergen.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall order for all these riders, but there's great riders to come. Still Bernard Kerr, Magnus Manson, Cody Kelly. But before that, Yuri, pop into the finish line. Stopping the clock at 4:08.59, slots into 11th place. So still riders like Cody Kelly, Jacob Dixon, who's been second in Garbonzo, Mick Hanna, a former winner here, Eddie Masters, Dakota Norton. People like Finn Isles, local hero, Marcelo, Sam Blankensop, and Adrian Laurent.
Definitely some people from all over the world who are going to be looking to knock Bas van Steenbergen off that hot seat, but take a look at what they're going to have to contend with. This run was flawless.
Exactly that, Cam. It really did look flawless. The places we saw him, he was pedaling wherever there wasn't a jump. He was pumping. He was doing everything to push that forward momentum as much as he could.
Taking a page out of Sam Blankensop's book and pedaling even when his wheels aren't on the ground. We'll see Sam Blankensop later in the broadcast, but right now it's all about Canada's Henry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, speaking of Sam, teammate to Sam, Henry Fitzgerald, 4th in Garbo DH. Is he going to have any legs? They've switched back to the trail bike after the Garbonzo DH. 15th place in Air DH 2017, so he has shown some speed on this track. He's a youngster, finding his feet. Did a bit of research. He says his weakness is organization and time management. Now, not going to need much of that on this course. It's going to be brain, take it out, put it in a bucket, and see how fast you can go down this track.
Well, you know you got your stuff together if you're able to identify your own weaknesses. So his organization isn't that bad.
Yeah, at least he's not a team manager, so he just needs to make sure he's remembered his helmet, his gloves, his goggles, and his riding shoes. So pulling a bit of time back there, 3.35 back at the split. Opting to pump a little bit more than pedaling. You're going to see different strategies down this racetrack today. Going deep.
Oh my goodness. I'm
That
wondering
is-
if he has a chain because but we haven't seen him take a pedal stroke in quite some
Exactly that,
time.
and he slots into third place. Great run by him, 4:04. And that's close to second place as well because Bass has put 3 seconds into everyone currently down this mountain.
So we talk about what makes a winning run on A-line, and one thing that you're always going to mention is scrubbing over the lips, and a body attribute that makes that easier is to be a tall rider. Do you think his height is something that becomes an advantage out here?
I would think so. I think you can then let the bike absorb more into your body, keep it lower over those jumps like you say.
If you choose to stay low, he chose to chuck that finish line jump halfway toward the timing lights.
Definitely, but Bas van Steenbergen is a lanky guy. So I do think it maybe plays into your favor, but obviously it's all about speed. But another thing that we don't really see is how these guys, how much braking they're doing and where they are braking. Because if you get scared and you tap the brakes in the turn, you're going to lose a lot of momentum. That's something that's tough for us to see on screen.
Well, in this race, we have at least 3 riders who have won King of Crankworx before. We saw Thomas Slavic before. Right now, it's all about Bernard Kerr, the 2015 King of Crankworx.
Yeah, he obviously sustained an off-season injury to his foot. He's getting back to his form. This is not what he's looking for. He's 6 seconds back already. But we saw him take a 5th in Innsbruck in 2018, like we said. Last year was probably the season of his life, racking up a podium in a World Cup, and then unfortunately getting injured in the equivalent over in France in the ADH in Leger. So Bernard Kerr running his own team, got the likes of Eddie Masters on his team, Rupert Chapman. Oh, pulling some time back, finding some time in that downhill section. Aboard that Pivot Factory Racing, Bernard Kerr, playing double duties as a team manager and a racer.
So he's got his organization on point.
Yes, somehow. Bernard Kerr coming into the finish line here.
There we go, back by 5.47, puts him into 9th place. Bernard Kerr not going to get on the podium today. Bas van Steenbergen dodging another bullet. But a whole lot more bullets left to go. It looks like the next rider who will be in the gate is Brendan Fairclough, definitely a fan favorite.
Definitely, but I would be safe to say I don't think we will see him there. I did catch up with him in the week. I'm not sure he's going to have his name in the hat here, but let's see. You know, he is on the start list. We've prepared to hopefully see the likes of Brendan Fairclough here.
So Brendog fans, cross your fingers right now.
So currently, Bas van Steenbergen, I see EC trying to pop his head in there. Great legend of the sport, Eric Carter. But like we said, so we will not see Brendan Fairclough. This is Magnus Manthan, another local Canadian from the Sunshine Coast, another youngster finding his feet.
This kid has definitely been making waves in the tradition of Stevie Smith, coming out of British Columbia, focusing the attention on World Cup downhill. He's having a good season, isn't he?
And what a man to aspire to, the late Stevie Smith. Magnus, no slouch on ADH, managed to notch up a 4th place, and there you see it, 0.58. Hopefully he can really pull some of this back and attack on his downhill bike here in the downhill section. Bas van Steenbergen was flawless though down the bottom here. That bike will be a bit sluggish out of that turn, but once he can get it up to speed here, maybe he can maintain speed with Bas. So Magnus, yes, he has done that. So that downhill bike paying off. 0.17. That bike is up to speed now. There is a good possibility he can bring this home in front of the home fans here in Canada. Just keeping it low. Will he challenge the time of Bas van Steenbergen? Magnus, he does just that, Cam. 0.27.
Look at that, knocking Bas van Steenbergen, the 2016 Fox Air DH champion, off of the hot seat and bringing it back to British Columbia right now. Magnus Manson, the man to beat.
Like you said, making waves here in the downhill world, emulating the late Stevie Smith. You see he's got that long-live chainsaw on his jersey. It's a great tribute to the legend that we lost. Magnus Manson, what a ride.
Well, great to see Magnus Manson stepping into that top spot. Michaela Gatto, let's hear from him.
All right, Magnus, congrats first of all on the national win.
Thank you.
And how you feeling out there today?
Pretty good. It was fun. Like, it's a 6 trail, so go fast on it. It's sick.
Well, you just took the hot seat. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Magnus Manson, the Canadian national champ, showing that he has what it takes not only on a traditional downhill course, but on a favorite to any mountain biker, A-line. He is now the man to beat, but France's Rudy Cabarrou wants to answer back for France.
Wow, what a run from Magnus. Rudy Cabarrou out of front on the Junior Da Vinci team. They've had some great success on the World Cup circuit. The likes of Dakota Norton this year really notching up a podium on that 29er equipped downhill bike. So 8.89 seconds back. But man, nothing to be too disappointed on. We just had a flying run from Magnus before this. So big shoes to fill there for Rudy Cabarrou. Wow, what a run. We're still catching our breaths here in the booth. Magnus with a great run. Rudy Cabarrou, can he maintain that gap? Well, no, he's losing more time. Magnus was extremely quick through that downhill section on his downhill bike.
Perhaps an issue up top for Rudy Cabarrou, or perhaps Vas van Steenbergen and Magnus Manson have that local knowledge of this trail, the ability to scrub those lips and efficiently work their way down a trail that was meant to be popped and styled out, not necessarily raced. But Magnus Manson cracking the code as he's cracking a couple jokes with Vas van Steenbergen. Let's take a look back at how he did it.
Yeah, man, a few words there with the interview with Michaela. So like we've been speaking about, the contrast between downhill bikes and trail bikes, and you saw him pick up a bit of time to that downhill section. Obviously a strong lad being able to pedal and get the downhill bike up to speed, because once that bike is up to speed, it will carry a little bit more speed the bumpier the track gets.
That's so great to see, because it truly is carrying on the tradition of Stevie Smith coming from the island. Stevie pretty much proved that you could grow up in BC and be fast on the trails here, but also translate that to the world stage on the World Cup. So really exciting to see that kid progress in his career. But right now, the next rider to drop out of the USA, Cody Kelly, another EWS contender.
Yeah, another EWS contender. He's on a new team, new bike, the Alchemy Bicycles Factory Racing. Also a man that has great skill and all-round bike talent here. And we know he's going to be no slouch on the pedaling coming from the EWS background. You've got no choice but to be fit on that race circuit.
Yeah, we know him as an enduro specialist now, but I remember meeting him years and years ago as a little tiny kid coming out to my local dirt jumps, trying huge tricks. He's now focused his attention on enduro, but he has the skills to ride these jumps and ride them fast. So right now, back by 2.1. Hopefully he can find some time here at the bottom of the course.
Well, exactly that. I mean, it is new age. We've got kids that grew up. So losing a little bit more time there, 2.34. We've got kids growing up, and you know, formerly they might have gone straight into downhill, but now there's a new avenue. There's EWS. That doesn't mean you're a different athlete. You've still got just as much bike skill.
Well, Cody Kelly looks to have found a little bit of time there. Back by 2.49, good enough for third place so far.
Yeah, that is a great run. I mean, he's got two insane runs ahead of him. Magnus Manson. We saw him have a good result here a year or two back, so he knew he had potential to have a good run. I was definitely surprised to see him notch one ahead of Vas van Steenbergen, though.
Well, good camaraderie there as Vas van Steenbergen and Magnus Manson reminisce of about 4 minutes of scrubs, flat landings, and sprinting. Take a look back at the run from Cody Kelly. Definitely found some time at the bottom of the course.
No, that he did, and that's where the fitness will come into play there. Down the bottom, that last 30 seconds, you'll just be so hurting. But he'll be very used to it, coming from the EWS background. Well, guys, we've still got the likes of Mick Hanna, Eddie Masters, Dakota Norton, Finn Iles. But before that, Connor Ferrin, our flat pedal thunder, somehow taking a 6th place in ADH in 2016. This track will not suit flat pedals. The likes of him, maybe Chris Kovarik and the Nathan Rennie back in the day could excel on a track like this on flat pedals. So I spoke to Connor Ferrin. He switched to 29er DH bike on his Kona machine, but for this race he's opted for 27.5. He feels he can stay low and scrub the jumps better on that smaller size wheel. So 3.49 back at the first split. Dropping a further couple tenths there. 3.72 back. But let's remember the two riders in 1 and 2 are a little bit ahead of the pack here. So he could still slot into top 5 position. Going so deep there.
Back by 4.12. Good enough for 6th place so far for Connor Fearon. Watching him go long on that finish line jump, it brings back memories. Look at that. It looks like he doesn't have a chain. Now maybe he's just in first gear. It brings back memories from when you ended the A-line race off of the GLC drop. Remember how many people would end up pretty much on the GLC patio trying to hit that at race pace?
Yeah, it was a great feature, but I think it literally was just a little bit too close for comfort on the GLC patio there. Sometimes you'd launch straight into having a beer. So Connor Fearon got the 2-2. Reminisce of Chad Reed in the moto background from Australia there. Connor Fearon, your flat pedal thunder. So let's look at our leaderboard there. Okay, Magnus Manson, storming run in 4 minutes 35. Barely pipping Bas van Steenbergen, only 0.27 back. That is gonna hurt if that'll be the final 1 and 2, but we have a host of riders, and we've got former winners like Mick Hanna still to come. Is he healthy? Is he fit enough? He's coming off an injury.
Guys like you just mentioned, Mick Hanna, Dakota Norton, Finn Isles, Sam Blankensop, and of course, last year's winner of this race and the 2017 reigning king of Crankworx, Adrian Lerone, will be the last rider to drop. Can he make it 2 in a row? We're about to find out. Top men coming up after the break.
We're trying to make a drivetrain that works better. We're trying to improve upon the things that we had done.
Introducing the all-new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. No matter what kind of rider you are or the kind of terrain you might ride, Eagle is simply the best. GX Eagle drivetrains have a range of gears that rival or flat out beat most 2x systems. Engineered in Germany, made for the world. This is GX Eagle.
Whistler Mountain Bike Park. Love the feeling of being truly awake. Well, you better be awake right now if you're calling yourself a mountain bike fan, because today is the day we crown a 2018 champion for the Fox Air DH, riding down the legendary, world-renowned trail A-Line, and our top men competitors coming up now.
There's so many. We've got the likes of Mick Hanna, former winner, Sam Blankensop, Marcelo Gutierrez, and like we said, our kind of surprise winner, Adrian Lerone, last year's winner. Can he repeat?
Well, one rider I'm really excited to watch ride is a kid that I remember watching him cruise around here in the village when he was just 7 years old. No stranger to A-Line, now becoming one of the best World Cup downhill racers on the planet. Michaela Gatto had the chance to catch up with Finn Isles earlier, and he had this to say.
All right, so I'm here with Finn Isles. Finn, you're a local boy. When was the first time that you rode A-Line?
I think it was probably quite a while ago. I'd like to say the first time we came here was when I was 7, and I think that was the first year that I rode it. I was on 20-inch wheels on a hardtail, just following my brother and my dad down, so lots of memories on the trail for sure.
And how many times do you think that you've ridden A-Line in your life?
Well over 1,000. Yeah, no question about that. I kind of wish Whistler Blackcomb had like a certain thing at the top of A-line. It would just like check your pass every time you go through, so you could like calculate the number of times you've ridden it. But I'd say it's definitely in the thousands. You know, it's been like 10 years of just riding it every day.
That's a really good idea, actually. I think they should do that. So any tips for riders out there today on how to go fast down one of your favorite tracks?
I would say try and avoid the holes and try and look for the little, on the sides of the jumps, there'll be like a little bit of a shave off on the lip, and just try and hit those so you miss the big kick, because I've seen quite a few people go over the bar just like trying to scrub and just getting bucked over and landing on their head. A-line seems like it'd be something that would be easy to race, but I think that it's probably one of the hardest tracks to race just because you're not used to riding at race pace on it, and as soon as you're going that fast, it's like, yeah.
Well, best of luck today and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Oh, Finn Al's birthday. He must have turned at least 14 by now.
At least.
So he knows how to go fast on A-line. We're looking forward to seeing him drop in here soon enough, but take a look at our current standings.
Yeah, so no surprise there. Magnus Manson, Bas van Steenbergen. Bas, a former winner. Magnus has been in the top 5 before. Both put down storming runs, but Magnus pipped Bas there by the smallest of margins.
Well, it looks like the next rider we'll have in the gate is Jacob Dixon. Let's see if he has what it takes to knock out Magnus Mason. Not like Marilyn Manson.
Magnus.
But that's probably what he was
Marilyn
listening
Magnus.
to in his headphones while he was riding that fast. I feel like you got to have an aggressive soundtrack if you're going to knock out Bas van Steenbergen, a former champion out here on A-line. He's getting comfortable right now, but the top 10 riders yet to go. Here you see Bas van Steenbergen hanging out in second place next to Magnus Manson. Cody Kelly updating his, well, hopefully Instagram, hopefully not updating his Tinder.
I was going to say, is he swiping or is he clicking?
It kind of looked like he was swiping, didn't it?
No idea. I mean, they are in Whistler.
He's probably playing Fruit Ninja
Place
or something.
of dreams.
All right, next rider in the gate, Jacob Dixon. Does he have what it takes to knock out Magnus Manson?
Well, residing in Ireland, he is riding on a heap of confidence, taking a second place in the Garbanza DHS, so we can see he can pedal.
Holy.
How fresh will those legs be? How much power will he be able to put into those pedals? So the Giant Boys spoke to Colin Bailey down in the pits. They have opted for double down tires, so they haven't gone for too light of a tire because they feel they still need grip and they don't want to roll the tire too much in the berms. Fortunately, down on the first split there, over 5 seconds. But a great result yesterday in the Garbanza DH. Total different beast compared to this A-line. Your Irish national champ, you will see that sleeve there on the left-hand side of his body. Great honor that they've installed here in the UCI, that you can ride with that country sleeve, taking the national champs.
Well, Jacob Dixon behind at the split. Not expecting him to threaten the time for Magnus Manson.
Another man going deep. Let's bring him home. Slots into 14th position, 406.22, 5 seconds back. A little bit disappointing for him, but like we said, he comes off a second place yesterday, so he'll be pretty happy with that.
Magnus Manson, good sportsmanship, congratulating Jacob Dixon on a successful run down legendary A-line. Not a run fast enough to threaten that top time.
No, but if we do get to see Mick Hanna next, this is the man that has put many a season back on the map here at Crankworx.
So you see all these riders come down under the time of Magnus Manson. What do you think he did on such a challenging race course to find himself in that hot seat?
Well, he's had to put everything together, but you can see how he's using that bike to absorb the lip. He's staying as low as he can and pushing through. He really opted for using the suspension on the downhill bike and absorbing those lips, scrubbing and staying as low as he can, trying to push through, carry that forward momentum. Again there, seeing how low he could stay. So this is a man that was up to speed on his downhill bike and just carried on pushing to the finish line.
So that's what Magnus Manson did so right to find himself currently in the leader spot. If you're going to knock him out, you're going to have a time that is really close to beating the 4-minute mark. Bass and Magnus both hanging out. The only riders hanging out at that 4:00.
Well, I'm getting word in. I've been speaking a lot about Mick Hanna, but it seems like an updated start list, and maybe he's not ready to be back from injury. So that's an unfortunate news for the fans out there.
Well, shame to not see Mick Hanna out there today. Of course, we were expecting to see Tracy Hanna out there also today, but it wasn't to be, which begs the question, who are we going to have next? If our start lists are correct, it looks like we can be looking forward to an adopted Whistler local from France, Remy Metallier. Definitely another fan favorite out there.
So Magnus can breathe a sigh of relief there, not having to upset the likes of Mick Hanna, a former winner here. So he's dodged another bullet without even having to see him on track. So that's good news for Magnus.
Does he have a spinner? No, it looks to be like a mountain bike version of a spinner. That is a rock.
That is a rock. Thanks, Cam.
Get yours at petrock.com.
Well, when you're sitting in the hot seat as long as these guys, you've got to keep yourself busy.
Is that a rock?
Water lid?
Yeah, it might be a water lid.
Kids these days.
All right, who do we have next in the start gate? It looks like it's going to be Eddie Masters. This should be good.
No, this should be great. So Eddie Masters. I don't think he did that many practice runs. Chatted to him earlier. He's on his enduro bike, so that 29 equipped pivot that he took to a 3rd place in the EWS here at Crankworx. So fit as a fiddle. The likable Eddie Masters, always having fun, but man, don't let that deceive you on how hard this guy works and how hard he trains.
Well, you said, Andrew, you don't think he got too many practice runs in. On A-line, does that even matter? Everybody knows his trail like the back of their hand.
That's true, Cam, but you heard the riders. Like, it's a total different beast to race. So if you're not going to go in and put some hot laps in and really see how fast you can hit these jumps, it's going to be quite the surprise doing it at a race pace. So Eddie Masters, we're not going to lose him to EWS just yet, but he's put in some storm results. 4 seconds back. Still a respectable time coming down here after a big weekend of EWS. So he said, you know what? He likes this kind of split schedule. He likes to do downhill, he likes to do EWS, still having a lot of fun on the World Cup circuit and Crankworx.
Ed Masters not giving himself any time to be bored, but right now, the time coming in, 4.6 seconds back behind Magnus Manson. Not going to be Eddie Masters' day, but wow, he definitely had a good showing in the Enduro just a few days ago.
Yeah, exactly. Fan favorite. It's great to see him really backing up that hard work, that fun that he has on the bike. It's relating to results now. Easy the best year he's ever had on circuit. 9th place at a World Cup, 2 EWS podiums. I mean, really coming into his own here. Well, man, I really think that Magnus is looking for a top result here. He pipped Bas van Steenbergen, but barely. And my word, the likes of Dakota Norton, Finn Isles, Marcelo Gutierrez, Sam Blankensop, and Adrian Laron, last year's winner. Who will be able to take down Magnus Manson?
Well, this should be a good time. I'm receiving word that Michaela's hanging out with Eddie Masters, and she's about to throw a microphone in front of his face. Let's do it, Michaela.
Thanks, Cam. Yeah, Eddie, did I see you earlier in the Megatrain?
You may have, yeah. This is the first time I've actually raced A-line, so I'm usually in the Megatrain, so don't want to ruin a good thing and miss out, so I thought I'd double dip.
A little bit of pleasure, a little bit of pain.
Yeah, all pleasure.
And Ken, what can we expect to see you doing in the next couple days?
I think I'm going to have a go at Pumptrack tomorrow, dual slalom, and then downhill. So a pretty packed schedule.
Sick. Well, have a fun week.
Well, it's hard not to.
Oh, look at this. Sorry to interrupt, Michaela. Great to hear from Eddie Masters, but look at Finn Isles. Green at the split, scrubbing.
Exactly that. The 1,000 runs is paying off here. He's 2 seconds up.
Oh, come on.
Oh, my goodness. Finn Isles, his first year in Elite year. He's going to smash the time. 2.29 seconds up. Finn Isles is your new leader here in front of a hometown crowd.
Did you hear that? The Whistler Village just erupted for their local boy, Finn Isles, smashing the time of Magnus Manson. Take a look back at the replay.
So we spoke to him earlier. He's hard on the pedals out of this turn. Choosing manuals, keeping very low. Man, Finn Isles, that local knowledge paying off here. The youngster, first year out of Elite, coming off a World Cup podium already this year. He started the season a little bit slow. But man, he's carrying huge pace here, straight lining those 2 turns. My word, with the number 5 plate on his bike, but straight into number 1 spot, your current leader, Finn Isles.
Well, Finn cruising into the hot seat in style. Michaela, let's keep you busy. I want to hear from that man who's currently leading the race, Finn Isles.
It's hard. I'm breathing pretty hard right now. Whew.
Well, it's your birthday today, and you just came down in the hot seat. Hopefully, it's good enough for the win for the overall.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the run, and Marcel's coming down now, so we'll see how it goes. But pretty happy with my run. Hopefully, it holds up.
Yeah, hope so.
There we go. Thanks, Michaela. Definite experience paying off in the case of Finn Isles right now. Marcelo Gutierrez is who he has to fend off, but right now 3.93 behind at the split. Looking like he can get comfy in that seat, isn't he?
Well, yeah, Marcelo Gutierrez, your 5-time Garbanzo winner. Unfortunately, suffered a flat yesterday, so he couldn't go for the 6-peat, something Jill Kittner did manage to do earlier in the day here in Fox 88. So Marcelo should have some fresh legs, though. Dropping further time. Man, what was Finn doing out there? There's some local lines, local knowledge. Man, the youngster doing his hometown so proud here, man. What a cool feeling on his birthday as well. But let's bring Marcelo home.
Marcelo not able to do it, but sliding into 4th place, respectable time. But when you're comparing it against what Finn Isles was able to just do, it's only good enough for 4th, but we're getting down to the bottom of this start list right now. Blankensop and Lerone left, but let's take a look at the current King of Crankworx standings. This is why we care so much about Sam Blankensop's run, because this race is just a battle in the grand scheme of the war that is the King of Crankworx. Sam Blankensop currently leading, but only by 115 points.
Yeah, he jumped ahead yesterday with a podium in Garbanzo, but Thomas Lemoyne looks to fight back in Pumptrack and still slopestyle. Sam Blankensop still has Canadian Open, so it is going to be exciting all the way to the end of the week and the end of the World Tour, which is only on Sunday. But before that, your local boy, birthday boy, Finn Isles, I mean, he is first-year elite. We feel like he's only 16, looks about 15, but man, riding like a man possessed, like a true veteran of the sport out here. But he is a veteran. He's done almost 1,000 runs or over 1,000 runs on this very trail.
It's so crazy to see this kid all grown up, because I do remember when he was a little 7-year-old following around his brother Jack, who's a fantastic bike rider in his own right. But little Finn just making it happen. Factory ride out there on the World Cup, and now leading the Fox Air DH in 2018 at the ripe age of, well, if it's his birthday, I guess maybe he's 19 now.
Yeah, at the very most. At the very, very most.
18 or 19,
and
yeah.
There's only 2 riders, so he's guaranteed himself a spot on that podium. That'll be the first podium for ADH for the likes of Finn. I mean, it's his first year in elite, so we kind of got to go easy on him if he hasn't had a podium yet. Storming run by the youngster, though, really.
Well, let's take a look back at the replay from the run that Finn Isles had that put him in the lead so far. So much scrubbing.
Yeah, staying really low on that enduro bike, but opting for the coil rear spring. I think that would help with the traction in the turns and even in the straight line over the bumps. So this man had great strategy. You see him pedaling and pumping, and he was also tucking. I think that's great. He really chose his strategy wisely all the way down this track. When he needed to pump, that's what he was doing. When he needed to pedal, that's what he was doing.
All the effort going to a good cause, not wasting any energy. That's how you put a big number 1 next to your name, the Fox Air DH, but he still has to fend off 2 very, very hungry competitors right now. We're talking about the man who's in the lead of the King of Crankworx right now, out of New Zealand, Sam Blankensop.
So Blanky's got to hope he's got some legs after yesterday's podium in Garbanzo. A man that has got second before in this event in 2017. And if there's a man that can pedal everywhere, and we mean everywhere, Cam, we're always talking in the air, Sam Blankensop. This is a man so fit. So if he can string it all together, can he challenge Finn Isles' time here? No, he's 2.99 back, basically 3 seconds there. That is a tall order, and almost all she rode for Sam Blankensop to take down Finn Isles. So making his way through the downhill section here, Sam Blenkinsop, one of Crankworx favorites, the leader in the King of Crankworx series here. He needs to keep pedaling and keep pumping here because he needs points for that overall.
Yeah, that's true. Even if he's not going to take the win right now, you got to think a podium could really be beneficial for that King quest.
Yeah, if he can slip into the top 3, that's really great, strong points for that series. So Sam Blenkinsop making it into the finish here.
Whoa!
Pedaling in the air, Sam Blenkinsop bringing it home. Not going to challenge Finn Isles. What will it be? He's into 4th place, 3.41 seconds back. What a storming finish by Finn Isles, putting even more time into Sam Blenkinsop in the last 30 seconds of this track.
Well, as you mentioned, top 10 for these events out here at Crankworx get you points for that King title hunt. So right now, sitting in the lead, even though he's not going to win the race, there's one rider left to go. So Sam Blenkinsop will finish 5th at worst, and that will definitely help his quest toward that $20,000 and that King crown at the end of the festival.
Wow, what a storming run. We're seeing Sam Blenkinsop here on screen. Speed tucking his way to the finish, pedaling in the air, doing everything he can. Try and minimize the damage to Finn Isles. But Finn Isles, man of the moment, birthday boy and first-gen elite, is sitting pretty in that hot seat. So Sam will be a bit disappointed with that. He was obviously aiming for a top 3, if not better, to really further cement that lead in the King of Crankworx points.
Sam Blenkinsop looking at best of 5th place, which is respectable, but Finn Isles needs to fend off the 2017 Fox Air DH champion. This is how he won it last year.
So Adrian Laurent, bit of a surprise to all of us last year. We know he's great on a bike, but he hasn't done that many downhill events. He came out swinging, smashed the whole field here in Air DH, went on to take the win.
Well, can he do it again? That's the big question right now. Finn Isles, one more bullet to dodge.
Yeah, Adrian Laurent, a little bit quieter season he's had this year compared to last year when he went on to win the King of Crankworx. He's had some mistakes in Pumptrack. He hasn't had all the results he's really wanted, but can that motivate him here today, here in Canada, at the final stop of our Crankworx World Tour? So there's your hot seat there. Finn Isles, followed by Magnus Manson, then Bas van Steenbergen. Then there was one,
the reigning King of Crankworx from the 2017 season. Also trying to make it 2 in a row here in the Fox Air DH, France's Adrian Laurent.
So as you said, you see that number board, the King of Crankworx number board. All the pressure on this man. What will the split tell us? Is he in touch? No, 2.78 back. Finn Isles can breathe another sigh of relief and maybe even start the celebrations here. What can Adrian do on the lower half of this track?
Well, we've seen so many riders come through close to 3 seconds back at this point. Nobody's been able to find time on the bottom section of this course. So it is very unlikely that Adrian Laurent will be able to do it, and he's losing even more time, 3.7 back right now.
Finn was really flying down the downhill section, really taking that hometown advantage to another level. Finn Isles, almost unexpected, his first-gen elite. Adrian Laurent is not going to do it though. Where will he be placed? 5th place for Adrian Laurent, but Finn Isles will take that win on his birthday.
Well, happy birthday to Finn Isles. The Whistler
birthday.
Village is on their feet, cheering and clapping. What better way to celebrate? Michaela, I have a message. Can you pass it on to Finn Isles? I want to say congratulations and happy birthday.
All right, thanks, Cam. Well, Cam just said to me he wants to pass on a message. Congratulations and happy birthday. You just came away with the win here today at the Fox Air DH.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy. It was a good birthday present to get a win here, so.
And you just turned 19, right?
Yeah, just turned 19.
Well, have some responsible fun tonight.
Thank you, I will.
Yes, thank you, Michaela. Finn Isles, time to crack a kokanee in celebration. Was it cool to see that kid climb the ladder?
Almost unexpected, but then again, it's not unexpected. He's done over 1,000 runs, and I have a message for him. Beer's on you tonight. You deserved it. You've earned it. That is amazing.
Well, there you have it, putting 2.29 seconds on Magnus Manson. breaking the 4-minute mark, which was our big question at the beginning of the day. Was anybody going to be able to make it from the start of A-line to the finish corral in under 4 minutes? Only one was able to do it. His name was Finn Isles.
Yeah, Finn Isles, local boy. He's grown up here, like we said. We've said it so many times. We said it about 1,000 times. 1,000 runs on this track, and it paid off. Clearly, he knew the lines. He knew the strategy to race that race.
So this race is a battle in the grand scheme of the big war that is the king of Crankworx. Sam Blankensop able to pull out some points here, which is really going to help. Thomas Lemoyne is biting at his heels. He has Pumptrack and slopestyle yet to come, but Sam also has some more events. Michaela standing by with the guy who's still leading the king of Crankworx hunt, Sam Blankensop.
All right, so you didn't come away with a podium or a win today, but you are still the reigning king of Crankworx. Now, we were just chatting, and you said you wouldn't be racing today if it wasn't for the overall standing. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, ideally I'd like to be resting because, yeah, I got a few bumps and scrapes and things from months and ends. So, but yeah, just out here riding, having fun, and just trying to make the most of it. Just scraping in a few points. So I got a rest day tomorrow, so I can come in strong for the weekend. So I'm feeling better every day. So I'm, yeah, just rest up now and come in strong for the Canadian Open.
And when he says bumps and scrapes, he's actually got stitches in his leg right now. So I would say that's a pretty solid effort. Your current king of Crankworx, Sam Blankensop.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Michaela. I hope Thomas Lemoyne is listening because he's the only guy right now who really has a chance to take that away from Sam Blankensop. Take a look right now as he got some more points. He's now 165 points above Thomas Lemoyne, but Thomas has some more events, doesn't he?
He does too, but that's testament to the dedication of Sam Blankensop, racing here with stitches, and obviously made his way to Innsbruck-Leger on his own, so that's amazing. But Cam, the unthinkable today, basically two unthinkables. Would you have thought Finn Isles would take the win in his first year lead, and then Jill Kittner doing the unthinkable as well, 6-peat?
No, it's so impressive. I mean, we knew both of them would be heavy hitters out here, but so easy to just lose the front tire in one of those berms, push too hard on a trail that was not meant to be raced. But Andrew Neethling, what a race. Final thoughts?
Well, exactly that. I am absolutely blown away. The 6-peat by Jill Kittner, just thriving under pressure. And then hometown boy, to withstand that pressure, unbelievable. Finn Isles, good job on you.
Well, making Crankworx history out here at 2018 Fox Air DH. Join us tomorrow. It's the RockShox Ultimate Pumptrack Challenge. We're kicking that thing off at 8 o'clock local time here. We're going to do it under the lights. It's always a great time. So thanks for tuning into the Fox Air DH. We'll see you back here again tomorrow night for Pumptrack.